Welcome back. It's episode 17 of Dirt and All. We're here today joining the studio with Daniel Bauer from Bauer's Heavy Haulage. How are you, mate?
Good, mate. Thanks, guys.
How
Good
you
to be
doing?
here. Woodsy?
Good trip up this morning?
Yeah, very wet trip, but it was a good trip. So, yeah.
We met last week at the Brisbane Truck Show.
We did, mate. Yep.
And
It was a very spur of the moment meet, but yeah, we met up there with the rest of the transport industry.
It was my first truck show. I loved it.
Really?
Yeah,
Well,
mate.
I actually hadn't been for about 11 years.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where I used to go right at the start of my career, I suppose. I used to go all the time. Like it was Brisbane one year, then Melbourne alternative years back then. So
Yep.
I used to do it a lot. And then I kind of, as everything got a bit busier and everything like that, I just stepped back and I kind of let our guys go and didn't go as much. That's the first time I'd been back in a while. So it was actually good to get back up there and see everyone, see the suppliers. And
See a few faces there?
yeah, that's right.
Good.
What was the standout for you?
Well, we were up there for a Drake Collectibles release, so another one of our Bowers models in the Drake Collectibles. So that was always cool to be a part of. It's something that we've been a part of since Drake started doing that collectible stuff. So that was a standout. Drake's stand is always a pretty big standout. Like standing a scale trailer up on its end and putting it on a rotating turntable is pretty impressive inside a convention centre. So yeah, that was probably our standout.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mate, there was a couple of things, because I'm only relatively new to working within the logistics space, so I probably get distracted by the flashy things like the Metallica truck. I really like that.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
There was that other black truck over the back.
Yeah, full
all
black.
Blacked out, man.
Yeah.
That was awesome looking rig.
Yeah, and like transport's come a long way over the years. Like you go back 20, 30 years ago and having a flash shiny truck wasn't a big thing. Like
No.
it wasn't a thing, and now it's everywhere. Like same thing. Like I'm walking around that truck show looking at tippers thinking, these are tipper guys and they're taking it to the next level.
Yeah.
Like full paint jobs with murals and everything, trailers, trucks, the whole bit. Like people started to do it in different sectors and now it's just a competitive edge
All over
everywhere.
the trucking sector.
Yeah.
How much worth of extra fruit are some of these guys putting on these trucks?
Oh, mate, some of those ones like paint job wise and shiny stuff, like all full accessories. Like you got guys that are spending into the $300,000 after they bought the truck.
After
Yeah,
purchase.
yeah, quite easily. Like some of these guys have got these things to the level where they basically are they're a house. Like some guys are full shiny and paint, and then other guys are practicality, shiny and paint, and some people are in the middle. So yeah, it's just become a huge thing where when I started out, it wasn't that big.
Yep. And DGI Trading and Bowers have a long-standing relationship. You guys obviously do quite a bit of work for the guys here.
Yeah, so I've been coming to DGI since I was a kid. Like I used to come up here in the truck with my father.
And like that, you're like just an actual kid.
Literally a kid, like a small kid, like 9, 10, 11, 12. And
grew up with it.
yeah, literally. And I drop in the yard here and Griffin would come out and say good day. And like it was just everyone knew each other. It was it was nearly a family, you could call it, I suppose. Everybody was a different part of the process. So.
The process, getting the gear out of there.
Yeah.
Rebuilding it, get it back.
You guys going and buying a machine that you are about to try and to make money out of getting rid of, and our job was to get it here so you could start doing your job. So it was kind of a key part of the puzzle, and we treated it that way. So that's kind of how I remember getting into it, and I come up the coast here all the time.
When I was younger, I always used to find it really impressive when I worked here and we'd get to work and you'd find out that some new machines were coming in for wrecking. You'd see the police escort coming down the road, and I got to see a few machines come in, but then there was times where like you'd leave work on a Friday afternoon and the yard would be relatively empty in one corner, and you'd come in, there'd be 6, 7 85s in the yard.
Come up,
what you guys have done under the cover of darkness. And,
and we've had some pretty cool shots coming in the driveway over the years too. Like
definitely,
the boys have taken some cool photos of us coming in with 89s on. We did the Drayton job and all that kind of stuff. Like,
well, that's what that would have been it. Those 89s.
That's what they come through all the white trucks.
Yeah.
Where did it all start for Bowers Heavy Haulage? Talk us through it.
We go all the way back.
Let's go all
the way back to the beginning. So my grandfather started out as in the 50s, early 50s. He went he was kind of a panel beater, smash repair tow trucks. So that's where it started off. It grew into craneage then. Like we used to do a fair bit of stuff up and down the Putty Road back when he first started. That's because the army bases were in Singleton and Richmond.
Oh yeah.
So we used to link the two together. And he started out there, and then tow trucks got busier, and then trucks got bigger, so tow trucks couldn't do it. So they went into craneage, and that's when my old man kind of was starting to come out of school and be that kind of age. So they started to grow the craneage, and transport was obviously just hand in hand at that stage. And that's where it kind of grew from. It went from there up into the 90s and grew pretty hard through the late 90s. And then my grandfather passed away to 99, and my father kept doing what he was doing, and I was part of the family business there. And yeah, it went on until 2004.
Yeah.
So from 2004.
And that was that mining growth through the Hunter Valley, pushing.
Yeah, back through when it was 2 or 3 mines, and they were smaller mines, and then it got bigger, and your HVOs turned up, and HVO became 3 pits in one, and BHP started Mount Arthur Coal.
Yeah.
You had your old Costains becoming Ravensworth, and the growth of that just continued to go through. So they just grew basically as it expanded. We had the family made the decision to expand with it, I suppose, and that's how it got to where it was. And it was a pretty big company in its day too. So.
Yeah, and that was based at Muswellbrook?
No, Singleton. So
Singleton.
Singleton's always been home base. So, and then we went to Muswellbrook. So we had a depot in Muswellbrook as well. So and Mount Thorley. So Muswellbrook, Mount Thorley, Singleton for the original bows, cranes, and heavy haulage. And then so once the old man decided to get out in 2004, which was at the time it was the right decision for the family.
Yeah.
It was something that I didn't think I'd ever see happen, but it was the right decision. So that happened, and I straight away went out and kicked back off in transport because
Bought a truck.
transport was the thing for me. Like Dad was always, you go on cranes, get away from the trucks. I'm like, nothing was going to stop it. I just had this thing from when I was a kid that transport was my direction.
Yep.
So as much as the old man and my grandfather thought, no, get away from the trucks, kid, and he's like, no, it's not going to happen. And
So obviously you got a license as soon as you could.
yeah, I had there's a few
Drives?
little stories that go around town of me getting in the wrong place at the wrong time without a license a bit. The old man used to let me do a few things, and we lived down past on a little property there down past the yard, and I used to somehow drive myself to work and when I wasn't supposed to be there type thing. So it was a good childhood with the home and yard not having town between it. So yeah.
And is this you just in the car or in the truck?
Oh, in a car mainly, yeah. We used to have a fleet of 1-ton escort utes, right?
Yep.
V8 1-ton escort utes. We have a fleet of them Bowers did, and my grandfather used to call one of them mine, so because I used to drive it around the yard, so I'd just somehow go disappearing in these utes and
Duck home.
duck home. We'll go and pick up lunch for the old man or do whatever needed to be done or go play some space. Yeah, even younger, I think, at some stages, yeah.
They were different times back then, though.
They were different times. They were good times, though.
Yeah.
I've got a mate who may be listening to this, and when we were like 14, 15, his parents moved away and he was living at the Rocks under the supervision of somebody at the time. And I think we were in year 8 or 9. It's half an hour from Southwest Rocks into school, and he just picked us up from the bus stop. And we were just driving ourselves into high school in Kempsey. And in hindsight now, if I had a kid that age, I'd just say, what the fuck's going on here? But it just, I don't know, it was different times.
It was different, and it was kind of socially acceptable to an extent.
Yeah.
I did the same thing with my girls. Like, you look at them and I think, Jesus, no way in hell I'm going to let you do what I do. Like, like there's certain things that, I want you to be a bit more like that era, but there's parts of it I'm like, no, I'll cut you off there, girls.
Yeah. So that era when the mining was not booming, but there was a big growth spurt down there, was that sort of the key catalyst that really pushed the growth of the business to where it is now into that space, or was there a specific job or contract that happened at that point in time?
At that point when that original business grew, it was just that generic growth of the area. The area was getting bigger.
You just wanted to get a truck?
When I did that, that was never going to happen. Like after the old man had got out, like Boom Logistics bought the original Bowers company out, and they had plans going forward, and I wasn't one of the plans, so I was actually made redundant by the old man, which was kind of good. But I was straight away, like, everyone's like, oh, what are you going to do? I said, oh, I'm going to go and buy a truck. And my wife and I at this time, we'd been going out for about 4 months. It was very early in our relationship, and I introduced Michelle to the transport industry straight out.
Right off the bat.
Yeah.
Did she come with you very often on the runs?
No, not a lot. Every now and then, but she was definitely backing me on the process. She's been the backbone of it since day one. So we went out and started it as on-track transport then. So went out and we actually subcontracted back to Boom Logistics.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
So because they
what was your first truck then?
Well, the first truck was actually an ex-Bowers Iveco, which I had for a very short amount of time. So and then I bought a brand new T404 SAR Kenworth, 2004. So they did a remake of the SAR, and that was the first year they bought them out, and we bought one brand new straight out of the bat, and that was a little bit out of spite. My father would never buy a Kenworth truck, and I loved him. Yep. He wouldn't have a bar of them. We were an international company, and we had internationals, Western Stars, and I was always like, oh, can we get a Kenworth? No, not a chance. So the first thing I did was go out and buy Kenworth.
And you're primarily Kenworth now?
We are, mate. Yeah. So the company is probably 2/3 Kenworth.
Yep.
And consistently that. And it was probably bigger than that until we did the Hogan's deal, and then we kind of inherited some other brands back in. So we'd all but phased out of nearly everything at Bowers, back to nearly full packer. So.
Are they cat-powered Cummins?
Cummins. So you can only get a Cummins in a Kenworth these days.
Yeah, right.
She's one option and one option only. So that's it been since the ACERT went out of production. So when ACERT went out, we that was when Cummins went to Kenworth and they did the big deal.
Done
and
the deal together.
It was just Cummins and Kenworth.
Cummins powered, yeah.
Unless you got a little of Kenworth, which they are packer powered.
Packer, yeah.
Yeah, so they've got their own engine in them.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
From then until now, what's been the biggest challenge getting Bowers off the ground to where it is now?
The biggest challenge, staying in business.
Yep.
Transport's a pretty fickle little business. Like it's hard work. It's a low margin industry, and when you start to mix mining and transport together, it becomes a very tricky space from being a transport company or being a mining company to make them both work properly.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot less regulation from a OH&S perspective in the transport industry. There was at least back then. It's kind of caught up a bit now, but compared to mining, so we had to kind of navigate how we made that blend. So
the blend is a
yeah,
word. Yeah.
So staying in business has probably been the biggest challenge, and then working out at certain points which direction to trying to get this company to go. Same thing as it grew. Did you grow with it?
Yeah.
As you got to a project, did you go outside your comfort zone? So
Yeah. You mentioned the Hogan's Haulage acquisition.
Yep.
Was there other acquisitions, growth spurts along the way to get to that point? What did that entail?
yeah, so there was. So 2008, 2004, we went out on our own. 2008, we were up to 4 trucks. And 2008, Boom then actually came and bought our fleet back on us right at the GFC.
Just before it.
Just before it, or
Yep.
just in the start of it, because they were actually trying to expand some of their fleet around the country and didn't want to go huge on capital. So they went back in and they had a position then for me back in the original yard as their operations manager.
Yep.
So I actually went back there as their operations manager for about 13 months. So I went back there and
And then it
downturned, and I pushed them. I had this because they were having trouble with their transport a little bit. So we kind of tried to help them negotiate, navigate their way through that. And then I had a plan and kind of went to them, and they said, look, the way the global economy is, we're going to concentrate on our craneage, and whatever we can do, we'll push through it. So we're not going to focus on the transport now. So that's when we then decided to go, I'll go back out and go do it again. And that's when we became Betts Bauer Haulage Group. So that was with a good mate of mine, Chris Betts. So we went in 50-50 then. That was in 2009. So it was a very full little period of 5 years. So went back out with Christopher, and Michelle and I went and bought a truck and a trailer. It's a float and dolly, 4x8 and dolly. And Christopher already had a float and dolly, and he was subcontracting to Boom under me.
Wow.
And he was doing a bit of work on the highway as well. So we thought, no, let's give this a crack. So we did that. And we leased a few trucks off Chris's parents because they had a line haul business at Walker, top of the hill. So we kind of went out and let's give this a crack. So from there we grew into that. In 2014, Michelle and I bought Chris's part of the business out. Chris had to make the decision whether to stay down in the valley and keep growing as we did, or to move home to take over the family business. And Betts Transport isn't a small business either. It was a fleet of 50-odd trucks at the time as well, so doing line haul and livestock. So, Yep. And livestock is kind of where he's primarily pushing the business now. So he wanted to give that a go as well, so he had to make the decision whether to stay or go. So very amicable. We made the decision. Michelle and I bought out his part of the thing, which was a huge thing for us at the time.
Yep.
We thought it was going to fold us for sure. Because there was some hard times like 2008, like when just before Boom bought us out, when we were up to that growth of those few trucks, like there's days where I sat on the lounge at night crying thinking we were going broke. It was hard, real hard work. So we got into that, took over the thing from Chris. And 2015, it started to ramp. We came out of the downturn in the mining industry around around the country.
Yeah, 2012 was dead.
Yeah. 2014, we're kind of crawling back out of it. That's when we bought Chris out. So that's why we thought, shit, this is not a good time. But it was lifting.
Yep.
And then it just started to, as we all knew, it actually lifted quite well. And 2015, we then actually bought back the Boom heavy haulage fleet, which was originally the old man and my grandfather's fleet.
Wow. Yeah.
So they decided they
Bit of
wanted
history there.
Yeah, they decided they wanted out of transport. So I went and bought trailers off Boom that my family had bought new. So it literally, and some of them they hadn't repainted. They were still yellow with bowers on them back then. So it was full circle. So yeah, that was 2015. And then 2018, we bought the Tut Bryant heavy haulage fleet out.
Yeah, wow.
Which was the old Musselbrook Cranes,
Yep.
which was our same thing. It was a direct competitor to the family my entire life. So same thing. We actually went to Tut Bryant to buy a trailer, and they kind of come back and said, "Oh, if you want to buy one, you can buy them all." And we're like, "Oh."
How big was that deal? Like how many?
So it was 28 pieces of equipment altogether.
Yeah,
So,
right.
yeah. It was a decent deal. And that same thing at the time, we're like, I wanted to buy one trailer. Like, this has escalated a fair
Go back
bit.
to the missus.
Michelle's in the background going, well, yeah, what do you think? Do you think we can? Oh, I think we can do it. Michelle's always been really good like that. Like, she sits in the background and she's our business and finance manager. So she looks at my decisions with the thought that he doesn't want to go broke either.
Yeah.
That's how she runs with and Michelle then just makes it all work. So that was a big deal for us because the Boom just wanted out and they'd shrunk. They had the equipment, but they'd shrunk the fleet. So we only took a couple of their drivers on. We had to find more drivers. We took the equipment where Tut was still working. So it became a thing where we had to approach their customers. This is what's going on. We had to approach some of their drivers. We took some of them on. Some didn't want to come across. And that's how that was 2018. And same thing. Timing wise, it wasn't too bad. We had a big project in 2017, which I think was a bit of a turning point for us. And that kind of got us out of where we were as a heavy haulage business in the valley to being a full player, I suppose. We mowed BGC into Bogabri Coal.
Oh, yeah.
So we went in for that deal as a whole, and it was a whole fleet in 92 days.
Oh.
So it was tender process, and we weren't a small company, but we weren't a huge company either. But at that point, heavy haulage companies had shrunk in the country. Like some of the big players had pulled out, sold off, got out, gone broke. Like it was a kind of a bit of a different landscape, I suppose.
Yeah.
So we went in for the BGC job and thinking, no, I'll put my hat in the ring. It'll be a good job to go, and we got it. And it was
full on
the most stressful 3 months of my entire life, I think. But and it was big, and we put the whole effort of everything we had into that job. And it was a point where I thought, hang on a minute, and you kind of sat back and went, we're not just the little heavy haulage company in the valley anymore. We kind of had turned that corner. So
and winning a job like that, like you said, it is competitive in this space. But when you're winning a project like that, it's not just price. It's
no price is obviously a big part of it, like it is for anything. But the logistical nightmare of trying to get that across the line, and BGC's gear was scattered across the country.
Yeah, all over.
It was everywhere. Like they went down and gave us a list of gear of what was going into Bogabri Coal, and they said, right, this is where it all is. And a lot of that stuff needs police and permits and
permits, trying to get
energy
those.
And the whole the permit process. And we were still in the fresh part of the NHVR, not being real nice to deal with. Not so much nice, but very hard to get across the line. So all of a sudden we got trucks getting rebuilt in the valley. We got trucks getting bored out of the valley. We got trucks in WA. We got trucks in Gladstone. We got trucks in the Bowen Basin. We got dozers everywhere. We got Komatsu bringing new gear in out of Brisbane, and we're like, oh, this is great. Like it was a fun night when we won the contract. We're like, yeah, well, this is good. And the next day I've looked at it and gone, oh,
next 90 days,
we're in a bit of trouble here. This could take a bit of doing, but it was in the end it was a lot. There was luck involved. There was a lot of good planning. But it went off, touch wood, without a hitch, and it was a real good thing for our business. It was a real positive step forward.
Yep.
It showed people that we were there to compete across on a big scale.
On a big scale.
Yeah, so that was big. And then it kind of, from that point on, we had the things like, we'd done a couple of big things like the Drayton thing with Hassels.
Yes.
That was a massive...
That was a big deal.
That was a big deal.
Yeah.
We did all of the haulage out of there basically for that. Like that was a whole site shut for life of mine.
Life of mine, yeah.
Yeah, and DGI, everyone went shopping and they didn't go shopping with a small list.
No.
It wasn't one load here and there. Like
Yeah.
you used to go to a Hassels auction or a Pickles auction after that, and it was like, oh, Daniel, can you grab one machine or 2 loads of parts for us? Yeah, no dramas. That'll be fine. This one is, we've got 12 trucks, 17 trays, 14 loads of parts out of the store, pumps, dozers, graders, it was everything. So
it was everything, good clean out.
Yeah. So they were good little projects, and that kind of got us to the point where we kind of sat back and thought, oh, we're kind of on a stage now where we didn't think we'd ever be, and we were very grateful for being there. But yeah, and that's kind of where it turned the corner until we got to the Hogan's thing. I suppose that was kind of what then brought us to there.
So, what was attractive about that? How did that come about?
Jason and I have had a working relationship for the entire time I've been in business. They're a fabulous family, very honourable family, like very loyal. So we'd worked as competitors, but very fair competitors the whole time we'd been in business. It was a great fleet. It was a very modern fleet like ours. We always tried to keep our fleet modern the whole way through. We didn't want it to slip. So it was a very similar fleet when it comes to age and quality. It wasn't something we'd thought about at all. We'd actually gone through a process and back and forward, and Jason had been through a few sales processes over the years that hadn't quite made the line. And it came up in conversation. Jason said, look, like it was the right time for his family to get out of what they were doing at the time. And yeah, he came up and said, well, what's your thoughts about you doing? And then at the time I'm like, well,
pen to paper.
And that was a big deal. Like that was a massive acquisition. Like it was for us as a company and even within the heavy haulage industry. And it was a big call for us. We all but doubled our fleet with that.
One purchase.
With one purchase, yeah. So doubled the fleet, doubled your employee base, we tripled our depots.
Yeah.
Like it became a big
So
thing.
where are your branches now?
Singleton, Rutherford, Warnervale.
Yep.
So Central Coast is our furthest. So Hogan's Warnervale kind of service that Central Coast, Sydney. Port Kembla off the wharf import stuff. So and which is head office for Hogan's. Rutherford was in the middle, same thing. Like Rutherford Industrial Estate Hogan's expanded into it. Built a really good little business there, which was then in between Warnervale and the Hunter Valley.
Good. Yep.
So it was a kind of a stepping stone, so they didn't have to go from Warnervale to the Valley in one go. They had gear based at Rutherford that could get up there quicker. And then we're at Singleton. So head office for Bowers is actually Singleton. So when I'm a Singleton boy, born and bred, so I stayed at home. I didn't go too far.
How's that river looking this morning?
That river's getting a bit angry. By the time I get home, I'd say it's really angry.
And only going to get worse, I believe.
Yeah, I think so. It's going to be a big couple of days, I reckon.
Yeah.
And as a group, obviously heavy haulage is the focus, but you guys do other general freight sort of work as well?
Yeah, we do. So we do component freight, general freight. A lot of it backs up our heavy haulage, but we've got taut line work. We also do stock and things like that as well through our cattle and ag side. So,
your own.
Yeah. The cattle and ag business came about as a bit of an accident, but it's turned itself into its own business. So.
What's the cleaning bill look like running a livestock arm of a business versus general heavy haulage? Everyone that's listening's been covered in cattle piss at one point, driving behind one.
They got tanks for that.
I just got my car.
We're in New South Wales, mate. We've got effluent tanks. It's a very, very safety conscious state here in New South Wales.
Queensland, mate.
Yeah, so they literally it runs out everywhere up there.
Mate, honestly, the last time I got my car detailed, I was thinking this is looking good, and it just happened like straight away. I'm like, are you serious?
Yeah, it's always the way. But no, the cleaning bill for the heavy haulage company is probably the biggest cleaning bill that you've ever seen. Like it's our fleet, our presentation of our fleet is one of the big things that we've built our business on.
Yeah.
Our guys, our team, what they do and how they do it, and what they've done to support us over the years with that and our presentation. They're kind of been the two things that we use to try and get us to stand out.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. That chrome does.
It does, yeah. It does.
You know when you're coming on the highway.
Yeah. We try and leave the yard clean every time. We've got a few boys there that are very, very passionate about leaving the yard clean, even if it's raining. So it's helped. I think it's honestly helped us along the way. Like the mining industry is a very visual industry.
Yes.
If they see something that looks bad, they will look at it like it's bad.
Yeah.
If they see something that looks good, they will look into it and they'll actually look into it and go, oh, geez, you put a lot of effort. They sometimes look harder, but they look harder to see what you've managed to do to keep it better for on their side, I suppose.
Yeah.
So that you've got no side issues and that you go onto site with all the right gear and that they haven't got an issue of coming into their transport management and all that kind of stuff of breaking their codes and stuff like that.
Well, it boils down to the basics, just pride in your work, pride in your appearance. And
yeah, that's right. And it is. It's the old-fashioned thing. It's a bit like places like DGI and things like that. Like Griffin was always tucked in shirt to shave face. Man, like
I haven't grown a beard. But that's only when he left I grew my beard.
Well, Griffin has been listening to a few of these, and he has a bit of a beard now.
Yeah, right.
And when I was younger, and I was always on him about tucking the shirt in. I was at a wedding and I caught up with him in a wedding and had his shirt untucked at the wedding. And I said, "What's this?" And he just said, "Shut up."
He's retired.
Yeah, he's done his hard time. Yeah.
What do you think sets a great heavy haulage operator apart from the rest?
Their team, the guys that you've got doing the job, the ability to be able to do that job and do it successfully and do it without, like, there's a lot that goes into doing that heavy haulage job. It looks great going down the road.
Yeah.
And it's big and it's a cool photo. But what goes into getting that there comes back to the equipment that you've got and the team that you have doing it. So good gear, straight up. Like in any industry, your gear will be what keeps your reputation high because it'll keep you being able to deliver on time, being able to meet all your scheduling stuff and save you on R&M and downtime with breakdowns and stuff like that. But your team, like my guys that do my heavy haulage, are some of the best guys in the country.
Yeah.
And learning how to do heavy haulage the right way, it gets lost on a fair few people because some people don't know, and that's not their fault. Like, but I grew up in it, and I grew up in New South Wales. So if you're in New South Wales doing heavy haulage, you had to learn to do it right because you expected to get pulled over. Like it was going to happen. It wasn't a maybe. Like you get up in North Queensland and that, or in the Territory or the West sometimes, and you can kind of twist that rule a little bit further, or you get away with a little bit more. But down the valley and in New South Wales, like coming off the port, out of Port Kembla and things like that, like you come out of Port Kembla and go through a weighbridge down, you go through a weighbridge back, like you had to do it the right way. So our team straight away learnt how to do the job correctly, and how to load out and how to get axle weights right, and that gave us a really good reputation on a legal sense, I suppose, or from the NHVR RMS level.
Yeah,
like we got to the point where they knew that our guys were doing the right thing and professionalism. Like if you get pulled over by the police or the RMS doing our job, they're straight away got a job to do and they're going to want to look, especially if something's gone wrong in some way, shape or form, but they're just doing their job.
You're doing their job.
There's things that I don't agree with and there's things that we'll never agree with, but they're doing their job. You don't need to treat them like they're doing something wrong or you've done something wrong. Just treat them like they're doing their job. Be professional. Our guys are always tidy. Their gear's tidy. Like, present yourself to an authority in that. Like, that's basically what it comes down to. I think that's So if you can get the team right, I think that separates.
Logbook's neat.
No, yeah, logbook's neat. And that's a good thing about heavy haulage. Like a lot of the time, it's changed a bit over the last 10, 15 years. We can do a lot more night travel now than we ever could.
Yep.
Which we never used to be able to. It was always daylight to dark. So that was always a good thing. You could never really stuff a logbook up when the sun beat you. So
yeah, that's right.
That was the easy bit. So it's still like that in some places, but yeah, I think if you go back to the team have got us to where we are. So we've been able to teach them the things they need to do, and then they teach each other. Like my guys will go through my fleet of drivers quicker than I'll ever look at it. Like that now, you get guys in there and they'll just weave through them and work out who does what and who fits where and.
Put him in that job.
Put him in that category. Or that guy's going to go up there, or he's doing a real good job of this. They all come back to me in a roundabout kind of way because as we got bigger, I can't be as involved with the guys as I used to be. Like I want to be, and I still am. Like I'm a truck driver at heart and always will be. So I've got to let the other boys kind of
do their job.
Yeah, do their job. Yeah. So and they will. They'll make sure. And some of the guys will. Sometimes you think, geez, they get a bit. They've always got the best interests of our business at heart.
Yeah,
all of them. Even the guys that don't get along with each other. And that's always going to happen. That's any workplace. Like there's always going to be guys that don't see eye to eye, but they never show it when they're working together, and they've always got our best interests at heart. They'll always come back and say, look, this looks good, or this could do some touch up, like some guys here that probably need a bit of this or need a bit of that. And yeah, it just makes the team the basis that's built our business on.
Works good.
Yeah.
So what are some of the bigger loads that you carry and weights?
So we can cart up to 300 tonne on site.
300 tonne.
300 tonne payload on site, which we have done a couple of times or close to it.
And that's with this, like the push-pull configuration?
Yeah, so we do a lot of that now. Like back when we first started, it was a part of the job, but it wasn't a big part. And the bigger we got, the bigger our gear got, the more push-pull. So we would do push-pull now every day.
Yeah,
literally every day, and multiple times a day.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've gone to the point we've had four hooked together. So you
get traction then?
So that's all it is. It's purely traction based because there's no way. Well, it's traction and horsepower. You look at mining gear now and it's getting so much bigger. Like perfect example I use to explain to some people is 994s.
Yep.
Like a 994F.
Oh, loader.
Yep. 994 loader. 994F was a big loader. Wasn't the best loader Cat ever built, but it was a big loader. But to move a 994F, it was a big job, but it wasn't a massive job. Like it was. And then they bought out the 994K.
Yep.
and the 5, which share a similar. 994, like there's 55 tonne in a bare frame difference between an F and a K.
Wow.
And that's a big trailer. Like that's a big difference. Like you talk about going from an 8 axle or a 10, like 8 axles to 14.
14 axle.
Yeah, like you're going to you're all about a 200 tonne for a stripped loader, where a 994F was 212 operating.
Yeah.
Like, so it's a big difference. So you go and put that on, you're a metre higher, you're all of a sudden 30 metres longer, 40 metres longer with the extra trucks on them. Like, it takes a lot of horsepower. And because the valley, like New South Wales isn't a big, wide open space. It's not like the Bowen Basin or the Territory or WA. It's a little hilly state that's got mines buried right at the bottom of them foothills.
Yeah.
So when we go to site, we go around certain, like from, say, for example, we went from West Track Tomago to Ravensworth. If you were driving in a car, it's like 76 kilometres. For us to take a 994K there, it's like 241. We've got to go into Singleton, out to Denman, back into Muswellbrook down to Ravensworth, because we can't fit anywhere. We're too high for all the bridges. So you go out there on the Golden Highway, and some of those hills are above 10%. And when you start towing up there, like you put 4 block trucks, a 994K and 14 axles, like 2 axle dolly and a 12 axle platform together, you're going up there at 348 tonne.
Yep.
That's a big hill. It's a big hill with a box trailer on it.
Isn't it?
Yeah. So it's big. Like, there's a lot of planning goes into it. There's a lot of.
This is a good segue into the question I'm just itching to ask.
See?
One of the things that two things. One, I reckon you'd be that good at eyeing off weights and going, that weighs this much. You know, when you go into the deli and you say, I'll have 200 grams of ham, and they give it like 197 grams, you think, how the fuck did you just get that?
Yeah.
I reckon you'd be that with just weights on the truck.
Oh, with some stuff, there's a few things. I can walk past tyres sometimes and go, he's light on the drive. Not enough tread on the ground. Yeah, like you do, because like when I first started looking at loads and I got taught off my grandfather and my father, like there was no weighing systems.
Scalies.
Like, my guys have got digital screens in their trucks that tell them what they are to the kilo.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. On the front and rear.
So on our drive, like we put Elphinstone weighing system on our drive, right? And it literally tells them to the kilo what their drive weight is. So if they need to be heavy because they're on site or in a pit, they know what to put on. If they've got to be legal on the road, it's in front of them.
Yep.
If they've got to get some weight off to be legal, they know what to do. And then the trailers, it's all axle pressures. So your Drake give you a guideline. You look at your guideline, you do your math. Righto, I've got 16.2 tonne of line on. Like, there's the guessing's kind of gone to an extent. Where when I was young, there was tape measures and formulas and pi squared over the length of the trailer to where the turntable is, to where the centre point of the load is. Some of my guys still use that, and it works. It does work. It works perfectly. But yeah, that's how I learnt. That was the only way I knew. But these guys now, they just put on and go, oh, move it back 2 metres because
they're looking at digital screen.
I'm 2 tonne too heavy. And some of my guys got like it's Bluetooth now. They're on their phone, standing at the end side of the bulldozer going, keep going. I'm done. We're good. Sweet. Turn it off. Yeah, like it's that, like technology, it's come a long way.
That's the path that's changing it as well.
Yeah, very much so.
Right.
This episode is powered by DGI Trading, the leading supplier of production-critical mining components. Visit dgitrading.com.
The part that is most interesting to me, and I've learnt since working with some guys in this sector, is it's like the back of house stuff, the planning of a really complex move, the permits, when you come into public holidays and times like that.
Yeah.
When you and I met really quickly the other day, you gave me an example, and I think the question I asked you was, how many trucks does it take to move a Liebherr 9600? And I'd guessed 10.
Yep.
And you told me 12.
Yep. That's right, 12 to 14, depending on the configuration comes in.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's how she comes in, packing list form, off the boat, straight out of Antwerp to Australia. And
600 tonne.
Yeah, 600 tonne. And yeah, so that's it. But like that conversation we had about it. So we did 2 9600s on the one ship at Christmas time this year. So for people that probably don't know, so the heavy haulage industry we're regulated even more than other transport. So certain times of the year, we get binned.
How do you get a permit?
Well, the permits are in all the time. Permits never, like if you've got a permit that runs, like so I got a full permits team. So I got guys that are permanently employed to do operations and permits.
Wow.
That's all they do. Full-time job. And I mean 10, 12 hours a day, every single day. That's their job, to make sure that our fleet can go everywhere we service within certain things. Like there's certain machines that you've got to prep perfectly for, but for that, up to the bottom end of the high range of our fleet can go just about anywhere we work at any time because of that. It costs us money, but it also gives us the ability to provide a service.
Yeah.
So if you turn around and say, Daniel, I want to run a D10 to the Bowen now, Sweet.
Sweet.
I know that I've got a permit out of Kempsey that's going to go to the Bowen Basin
Yeah.
because we never let them run out.
Yeah.
We pay the money and we keep them in. So that side of it for that, like a 9600, it's not, because in pack and form, it's not huge. Dimensionally, it's not huge. It's heavy, but it's not dimensionally huge. So we get actually binned a few times a year. So we get a curfew put on us. So high traffic flow times for the public, we can't travel. So at Christmas time, police-wise in New South Wales, we get shut off at the 15th of December. No police loads until, depending on where you are, up the coast here, it's until the end of the school holiday, so the 30th of January. But at home, it might be the 5th or 6th for the valley to start back up. So we can't move anything for police, and then we have a full oversized curfew kicks in on like the 20th, 21st, 22nd until the 3rd, normally 3rd or 4th. And that's nothing over the width of a standard truck.
Right.
So and most of my trailers are wider than a standard, like they're oversized before we move. So these two diggers come in and they dock on Boxing Day.
Do General Freight ever get a curfew that they can always go?
They can always go. So we get Christmas, Easter, any gazetted long weekend. So if there's a public holiday that has a weekend either side of it, off.
Yeah, right.
Any national, like any state highway, basically.
So talk us through these two 9600s. How did it play out? How did you make it happen?
Well, it was the good thing about it was the right time of year for us to be quiet. Bad thing about it, we had a heap of guys on holidays. So my management team and I, we saddled up ourselves and went and got the job done. Which we're pretty lucky there. My ops manager in Singleton, he drives and he used to do my real big stuff as well. My fleet manager that does between both companies, he drives for me as well. So we got the numbers
together.
up. But like you've got 14 loads, and normally there's 4 loads, 5 loads that come out of the port of a night. So you've got your centre girder, your 2 track frames, and your boom. Basically, they come out of a night because they're escorted curfew. So coming out of Sydney, no matter what you do, if you're over 3.5 metres or over 26 metres long, you have to do it overnight. You can't go through there any time of the year through the day.
Okay.
So it's night travel only. But with a 9600, between 3.5 and 2.5 is the rest of the digger bar 2 loads. So all of a sudden, all of these loads are night loads. So we went from being able to come out with 4 trucks of a night to coming out with 12 of the 14. So all of a sudden, we've got the whole digger down there. So and each one of them then need a pilot. We need 2 pilots for the bigger ones. So it just took a job that normally you get rid of 3/4 of the digger out during the day and the rest of the night. We all of a sudden had these 2 diggers that came out all bar 4 loads in the dark.
In the dark. Police escorts.
And so that ran from Boxing Day to the day after New Year's Day because same thing, we needed to go down in the night too because the trail's too big. So we're going down in the dark, coming back out in the dark. So what used to take a day and a half was taking 3 days basically.
Yep, you lose a night.
Yeah, but everyone's like, oh, can you just leave it there? Well, no, you're shipping in Australia. Once you hit the port, you got 3 days, and over the 3 days, you got some pretty giant storage fees. And
demurrage starts to come.
Got some mines going, well, they're our diggers. We'd like to see them. And so, we get on board for Liebherr and go, righto. They're like, here's your diggers, and we'll get them up there. So, it made a job that's always logistically challenging to an extent, but just took it to that little bit next level.
Yeah.
Just the timing.
And that
right.
time of year too, like it would have obviously been a pretty all hands on deck sort of situation.
Yeah, well, as I said, like we were running on smell of oil rag in the offices. We had our allocator, and
you weren't kicking back eating prawns.
No, I actually jumped to a platform myself, and I did a track frame both nights. So that was good. I enjoy to be able to get in it when I can. So,
Is that up there in terms of like complexity for you guys in terms of the planning and the working around curfews and that sort of thing?
Yeah. So complexity working around curfew, that will be. Having to move a machine like that in Christmas is something that you'd normally think it's never going to happen. It's in curfew.
Yeah. That's what
we don't have to worry about. Like that's the same thing. Like I give my guys, like especially the guys that do our bigger work, and some of those guys that tow those bigger platform trailers and things like that, they've got to kind of work their schedule around our work to an extent because it's not something that everyone can do. So through the year, I might put a bit of pressure on saying, look, you can't really have leave then. We've got a big job on. There's a project happening here. Can you twist that around for me? So Christmas time, normally I just go. See you.
Yeah.
Because I know that it's going to be curfew.
Curfews.
Yeah.
So there last year, that kind of backfired on me a little bit. Had to
pulled this all together.
Put the whole show on.
How do you guys approach risk, especially with these big gear on public roads? And there's obviously a huge element of risk in what you do.
Yeah, there is a massive element of risk in the transport industry in a whole. Like it's one of the most regulated and not unsupported, but it's got everything you do has a repercussion, I suppose. Like there's no matter what you do, somebody is always looking. And like you look at jobs, like everyone has a bad day. You do something wrong at work, and you're like, oh, mate, you done something wrong. Woods didn't plug in the toaster the right way. Or
Yeah.
something like you get wrapped over. Like someone drops a part out the back here, accident.
Yeah.
Like it's a bad thing, but you go
It's
through
an
a process. It's accident's done.
Yeah.
You do like simple things
Drive
like
under a bridge.
Drive under a bridge. Yeah, drive under a bridge the other day. Poor people, but it happens like it. But you fill out a logbook wrong.
Yeah.
Our guys get an $800 fine. Where else can you go to work and somebody takes half your week's wage off you for making a clerical mistake?
Yeah.
Nowhere.
Me when
That's
you,
the hard bit about Trent.
me when you find out that you're not supposed to wear your seatbelt under your arm.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. Now I
Was
do.
it a good
because-
photo of you?
Yeah, so mate, they're horrible fucking photos. Actually, I said to my wife, I hope I don't look like that. But
And
yeah, I got
that's
two,
probably-
two in 2 days.
been a big thing in the trucking is it was overhead cameras and those type of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah,
Like
massive.
Yeah.
And all that comes with a big price fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're overloaded. Your logbook's not filled out right. You've run out of curfew. You've broken your fatigue by 15 minutes because you weren't tired or you couldn't find somewhere to stop because there
Pull
wasn't
over.
a rest area
Yeah.
to pull into. Like that all comes with big money costs. And that's the problem we probably got in as an industry. Like trying to get guys into this industry now, like compared to when I was young or even the generation before me, I'm even on the backside of it, is to try and get them in. There's so much risk in what they do and so much legislation they can lose so much money that it's hard to get them to want to be interested. And then they've got to start to live away from home. It's a different lifestyle.
Live in the back of the truck.
The people
Yeah.
that like the stigma of the world these days like different. Like you don't work and then live like your work life balance these days is completely different to when I grew up. Like you worked, and if you had time after work, you lived in some way.
You live, yeah.
And I'm trying to weave my way out of that now a little bit because that's how our life's been. Like it's just how it had to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's hard. It's a tricky part of it to try and navigate.
Yeah.
Do you and for anyone listening, I have absolutely no idea. So if you are a trucking enthusiast, don't think I'm an absolute moron. You guys have got a big fleet of trucks. They're all around Australia at any one time. Do you guys use software to sort of keep track with GPS where everything is? How do you manage
Yep.
that?
So all of our fleets are both they're tracked, so full tracking. So we run some of our maintenance through our tracking as well.
Yep.
Some of it it gets back to the point of like fuel tax credit, all that kind of stuff. It all gets run through our GPS system, so we can see where every truck is and what it's doing, 24 hours a day.
Wow.
Yep.
Like fuel burns and that type
Everything.
of Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that actually does the calculation for us. So for when the girls used to do fuel tax credit, and they used to get the fuel bill, then they get the kilometres, and then they work out what truck was where, and then work out the end of the 3 months. And Michelle would sit down doing this fuel tax credit, which would take a week.
Yeah.
The system just
Spits it out.
spits it out. Now.
Okay.
The guys can we do our 103s and everything logged through our GPS through our tracking as well. So it goes straight back to the guys in the workshop. Our accreditation manager Brianna can sit there and go through it. She sees what the guys have written on there straight away, and it can get forwarded to who needs to see it at real time.
Servicing and that type of thing.
Yep. So the same thing. The boys can see whether. So same thing. They can sit there and look at their maintenance board and say, right, where are we at? They just log on and they can see so when it comes up on the screen, it shows a list. Like if you just put it on the list, it has every truck, every driver that drives it, who's logged into it at the time, and the kilometres on it, and where it's at, how fast it's going. So they can turn around and say, righto, truck like 326 is due for a B service at 400,000 kilometres, and it's got 396 on it. We'll B service it next week.
Yep, we'll lock her in.
Yeah, they'll start to make their plan around what they can see. So our fleet manager then helps them with that as well. So they look into that, and we can plan around it.
So you've all got a pretty can access this system and
So I can get it up on my phone right now. Like it's like I get guys around and go, oh, where's my freight? Like or where's like the truck's coming home from the west. Brett's on his way home from the west. So people go, oh, where's he up to? Like when are we going to see our freight? Yeah, hang on, I'll just check where he's at.
Yeah,
let you know where he's at. And like same thing, we don't have to ring the guys 100 times a day or 10 times. Where are you up to? How are you going? Have you got any dramas? Like you can see him. You go, oh, he's still moving. Everything's good.
Yeah.
It takes a little bit of the stress away because same thing. Like sometimes I spent a lot of sleepless nights over my career wondering where they are, how they're going, and like there's certain pinch points in a trip, and you think, geez, have they passed that point yet?
Yeah.
So now I just pick my phone up, I look at it and go, "We're sweet," and I'll go sleep.
We're right.
Yeah, I've probably inherited 2 or 3 hours of sleep a night more than I used to get because I can actually go there past that. They're over that hill or they're past this point.
Through there, they
We're,
got there.
we're good.
Yep.
We know that
He's going to be here tomorrow. Yep.
Yeah, so it's an unreal tool.
Yeah.
And it's a tool that like it's becoming everything like dash cams,
Yep.
GPSs, tracking. Like
Do you ever submit any to Dash Cams Australia?
no, we don't. There is some good ones. Though. There's actually a few good ones. Adrian and I did a rope. We do these rope reels over to Boddington, over to South 32. They make it at Mayfield at Wire Ropes Australia or at Beckart, and they're 140 ton reels of cable. And we take them to the west, and we had a guy go through a red light on us when the police had it stopped here last year. And the dash cam footage of that, and listening to me on the dash cam footage, because when you're the block truck on the front, you can't ever brake.
Oh.
So you try wanting to slow down in a real big hurry when you.
And you'll stick your nose out the front.
Well, I'm at the front. He's going to run into me. So, but like you don't see that. Like the guy on the front can never touch the brakes because if you touch the brakes on the front, he's just going to push you. It's only a drawbar. He's just going to swing you in the side of the truck. So you're on the radio going, stop, stop, stop. Fucking stop. But listening to me go, because Adrian actually saw him first. And yeah, the same thing. Some of our dash cam footage.
Is there any level of leniency when you're driving a truck and you come to an area where the lights, you don't have much time to slow down, you've got a certain weight on and you do have to go through? It's going to be more dangerous if you slam the brakes. Is there any leniency? Or
Not really.
Not in New South Wales?
No. Officer State Debt Recovery is pretty good at their job here in New South Wales. So we actually only had one of the drivers only a couple of weeks ago went through a red light down at Port Kembla, turned the corner with a 9800 undercarriage, like centre girder on.
Wow.
So
Heavy.
heavy, wide, and couldn't get going. In. He was behind a few cars and couldn't get going in time to get round by the stop before the light changed. No, here you go, mate. Here's your fine. If you've got police with you, different story.
Different story, yeah.
Like it just depends on how that police escort navigates what he wants you to do and how he wants you to do it.
Yep.
For if you need to stop or if they're going to block intersections, but that all comes to that job specific. Like it, but no. The short answer is, if you go through it in a car and you go through it in a normal truck or you go through it wide load, it doesn't matter. And you turn around and say, look, I'm only doing 5 kilometres an hour, mate. I can't get through it. You can take it to court. And look, there's certain ones where we have and said, look, this is no good. We had one guy get knocked off on a speed camera in the main street of Singleton at 6:15 in the morning or 5:55. And everyone knows, if anyone knows Singleton at that time of the morning,
flat out.
you can't move. Because there's 19,000 coal miners at 1 second trying to go to the one place at the one time.
Yep.
So you don't move. And it actually took a photo of him and then recorded him saying that he was doing 87 kilometres an hour in 50 zone because it got the corner of something in the next photo. The truck actually wasn't moving. It was stopped.
Yeah, right.
But we went to them and said, look, here's the GPS. And the GPS showed 30 seconds before the photo he was doing 2 kilometres an hour.
How's he get that?
Impossible to reach.
We
that
send it
speed,
to State Debt Recovery. They, no, said sticks. Took it to court. Didn't even get to court, but it's the effort that you got to go to sometimes when these guys are, and us as a business, Michelle's really passionate about anything that she can take off our guys to make their job easier or to save them something. She will go out of her way, and I mean out of her way to do that.
Yeah.
So we'll go down that road and we'll wear that cost as a business because you go, well, they don't deserve it. You've got to try and help them out where you can.
Yeah.
So and that try and keep them interested, like it's just you got to go that extra level, sometimes.
Part of the job. Yeah.
It is part of the job, yeah.
There's all these evolutions in technology externally to the business and the way you guys are advancing systems in-house as well. What's your take on the current state of the industry and the future of heavy haulage in Australia?
It's a good question. Real good question.
I thought it up just before you come here, actually.
Some of your best work.
Thanks, mate.
That's
batteries in trucks?
I don't think so we'll be the back end of that battery hydrogen push because it takes so much fuel and power to move what we move. Like to get you get a battery truck. I think to do metro stuff in cities,
that'll come first.
It'll come and it's probably got its place, to be honest.
Yeah,
there's probably a certain driver and a certain task for Australia Post or for Follow Man or someone like that, like some of like Centurion, those guys that doing delivery stuff. Vans. It might work really good for them in a certain spec. Doing what we're doing, like it takes a lot of fuel, a lot of horsepower, and a lot of those trucks they're built strong for a reason. Like and I've seen them break. Like what they do, it's hard on. Like you put a mining truck on the back of a road truck and ask it to pull it somewhere. It's a lot for it to do. So the technology of, as we said, like telematics and all that kind of stuff, that'll continue to get bigger and bigger. And we're part of information groups with TMR and NHVR and things like that, where we help them to try and build a better envelope for getting gear on the road easier for guys who want to comply the right way.
Yeah.
So we get really involved with that on a weekly basis. So our ops manager, he's always in that space, seeing where we're going to go, what they can do to change it. So that side of it, I think we'll go forward really well. But as for the technology change in what we do on the ground, she's going to take a fair bit more development. I think before we're at a point where we're going we're going green. Like we've got the new E6 legislation for new road trucks in Australia from October this year. So that all changes. That's a different engine, different package. So it becomes EGR AdBlue together.
Yep.
Oh, is it?
The EGR is making a comeback. Yeah. Oh, the EGR nearly broke a lot of people.
AdBlue?
Yeah, I got a good mate of mine who's quite high up at Cummins at the point of the EGR debacle. And it was a pretty bad time for them as well. So anyway, they've done a lot of development. So that's the next step, where Euro 5, Euro 6, that'll just all keep evolving. But I think that diesel combustion for our side of it for now, I think we're a fair way off changing that. And then, just drivers. That's going to be the hardest thing. Trying to educate young people and get people into the industry. Like the Australian transport industry in a whole, in the next 10 years, it's a very different. Like these guys are 60, 50, 70.
Yeah, you haven't got a lot of young.
No, we've got
20-year-olds.
but the same thing too. I expect. Like I got guys that I went to school with who work for me who I've known my whole life and around that age group, and we all work together and we think, oh yeah, we're in that young group. Well,
No, we're getting older.
We're kind of not.
Yeah.
We're kind of not in that young group. So
have you seen there's a couple of guys on YouTube and they're American truck drivers and they sort of show their nightly routine and they're in there having protein shakes, really like health focused versus like the truckies carrot, the Chico roll, and the servo. Like they've got this different lifestyle. They've got their PS5 set up with these big screens, and I'm like, man, that looks really cool.
Pull up and have a break and sit there and play their PS5 while they're cooking in their microwave or making their own food.
Maybe that's a talent attraction strategy for the future. They come fitted out with PS5s and
we fit out. We have TVs, we got smart TVs, air conditioners, diesel heater, so all auxiliary diesel heater, microwave.
For the overnighters.
2 fridges in nearly every truck I build.
Yeah.
99.9% of them.
Yeah.
So because even the guys on site, like they get stuck on site for a day. They take their food with them. They can live a bit healthier. And it like roadhouses, like you go back when I was young driving a truck and you pulled into a roadhouse anywhere in the country and you got a good meal, you could pull up, you get a shower.
Yep.
It's near unheard of.
Where the
good old
thongs.
Clybucker servo.
Clybucker. Moorland's still a good feed.
Yeah.
I stopped at Moor. I bought a 9600 out of Brisbane.
You guys, that's what you do know.
Yeah.
Where to stop for
we know
feed.
where you get a good shower.
Yep.
Where you can get close to a pub. It's the important thing.
Kalungaluk's also a bit of a staple.
Mate, I'd hate to imagine how many times I've stopped and eaten and showered at Kalungaluk in my career. It'd be up there. The joys of having expressways and DGI up the coast. You had a few turns of it.
Do you guys do much work in that? And this will probably roll the feathers of some of the renewable energy enthusiasts, to say that with a bit of sarcasm in the audience. Do you guys do a lot of work hauling components for solar and wind farms?
We do. We're into everything. So it's just been a natural progression. With a fleet of, like, we don't get into the full wind farm process. Like, we haven't built our business around that. There's a few companies that do it and do it really well.
Yeah.
So we just offer them support. We try and get on board with them, and if they need a hand or they want us to put a platform in to do the nacelle part, or they want us to put an extendable in to do a tower section, we'll get right involved in that, but we're not doing it as a whole project. But yeah, for sure, we're in on the projects on solar and on wind, all of it together. So
we years ago, one night I was living in Carrington in Newcastle, and that's where they come out of the port that way, and I got stuck at the roundabout as I was bringing out one of the blades.
Yep.
It was so impressive to watch. Like, I wasn't even mad that I was stuck there for that long, and the guys got out with the remote and brought the back end. They're huge, man.
They are. That's a lot of load. They're long. Like, you sit there when they're parked at the corner and go, how's that ever going to get around there?
And then you look where they're going with that thing too. Like, she's a long trip.
You don't have any of those remotes on the trailers at the back?
Yeah, so we got we can steer our big trailers like that too. Those
remote,
our full trailers that can be steered off a remote now. Yeah, some of them can be steered remotely, and so we can get to a section, undo the live. So those big platform trailers steer off the truck. So they've got a steering system, and the truck has a wedge in the turntable, and it tells the trailer what it's doing, and then it hydraulically steers. That's how those big platforms steer. You can actually disconnect the automatic side of it and manually steer it if you want to get into a tighter spot, or you want to, when you're backing under something, if you need it to do a bit of a kick, or you can do it. We try and do it the other way, because it's always better if you can do it without going into manual steer. But yeah, the technology of that stuff is pretty cool.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Bowers has a strong online presence. Was that a plan, or was that just something that happened as part of the natural growth of the business?
It wasn't a plan. It was part of the natural progression, but it was something that it really took some. I suppose it got a fair bit of traction there for a while. It was something, and once it started to get a bit of momentum, Michelle and really looked at it and went, "Oh, well, this is really good for us." And she started to push it, and then I had a little bit of a crack at putting some posts on that, and I was terrible at it. And the best thing is our drivers, because the modern day, they get involved. So they'll do videos, and we've got a couple of drivers that do their TikToks, but they'll send the videos in, then the girls will edit them in, and they edit them in and then upload it, and they've done really well.
It's a big thing now. Everyone wants to see what you're doing. They just want to know, how cool is this truck?
That's right. And we looked at heavy haulage as it's a tool for the mining and construction industry type thing, and now it's got its own little media following,
for everyday person.
We did that first 994K up into the valley, and American Truckers, I think it was, posted it, and it got over 1 million views.
Wow.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. For that one, going up out of the fog, up one of the hills on the Golden Highway, and you think, we're just a little company in the Hunter Valley.
But people want to see it. So,
they do,
It's great that there's a guy putting that out there. I think.
So, and we're still we run all the companies separately in there as well. So it's getting a bit of and that online thing. No matter what you're doing, it's becoming such a big thing. Like our fleet by itself is really big to manage now when it comes to fleet act. Like when we're doing new equipment in, old equipment out. So we're in the middle now. We're about to launch our equipment. So Bowers Equipment Hire is the company that owns the equipment basically. So we're launching it as part of the company. It'll have its own website now, so that we can have a page there for selling our equipment. Yeah. So it'll actually have a link, and we're going to go into marketing our own gear as a proper part of the business.
Yep.
So it's
rather than going through truck sales,
and it's that online stuff that's made that able to happen. So we can turn around and say, right, we've got this gear coming up. The guys, like our fleet manager, can come up and go, bang, here we are, fill the page, let's go, and people can click on it, and away you go. It's changed the landscape, whether it's on a social media side of it, or whether it's on how you market your business, or how we then market our equipment after we've used it. It's a pretty big thing.
And we talk about it a lot on here, and I think even going back to Brad O'Shaughnessy's episode, and he was talking about when he started this really early back in the day, and he's working with Komatsu, and people just never saw what happened behind the scenes. There.
Yeah.
And so I sit back sometimes and wonder, why? Why is this massive uprising of the earth-moving and heavy industry subculture online? But I think it's just that people love to see the things.
It's interesting.
They don't get to see.
That's why I got into it. That's why I stayed into it. Like I from a kid, that's all I wanted to do. But I saw the backside of it.
Yeah.
I watched what my father done, and I watched what my grandfather done, and I saw how cool it was to get it ready to get it on the road.
Yeah.
Like that part of the job to me nearly interests me more than taking it down the road. I'll go on the extra thought and effort and what you've got to do to make sure you load that trailer out properly and you don't break the trailer. Because you put those big loads on the wrong spot, it'll snap trailer up.
Yeah.
Millions of dollars of equipment in one foul swoop, snapped. So
should have moved it back a bit.
Yeah, should have put a beam under there. That was a bad call. So that side of it was big. So then, but then when you started to show people online that side of it, they're like, oh yeah, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
it's definitely been the most interesting thing for me to learn this year in dealing with the trucking industry is just how complex it is, and the smarts behind it, and the mathematics behind planning a big move.
The old stigma of the transport industry being the not so smart end of the
Mate,
scale, which it did have that stigma for decades.
Yeah.
It really isn't now.
Yeah.
It's gone this different way.
The stigma's definitely changed.
Oh, you like at the truck show, spend $300,000 on a paint job and look good.
That's right. And that's the thing. Like the price of new equipment, as you've seen through your mining stuff, Woodsy. Like it's just gone from here to now. It's up here. Like it's a ridiculous amount of money to buy this gear now, and then to try and so whatever you can do to promote yourself to help you do your job, and to help you do the best for your customer, you've got to do it because the gear is worth so much money and your outlay now is so big.
Yeah.
You've got to do everything you can to promote your business and work in with other businesses to help promote you.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's a big thing.
That big thing.
You talked about the equipment stuff. What's the future hold for Bowers Heavy Haulage?
The future. I like to hope that it's got a really strong future ahead of it. As any industry and any business, we don't know. It's one of those things. Michelle and I are big believers in that we love the process. There's no end goal for Bowers Heavy Haulage or Hogan's Heavy Haulage or Bowers Cattle and Ag. There's no end game for any of it. But the process is enjoyable.
Yeah.
Like it's really good. Like we like to get to that process and follow the process through. Where it takes you, we're just letting it take us. So
it's in your blood, but
yeah, it is. And the same thing. I tried not to do it for a couple of minutes, and it just didn't work. Yeah,
it's very
and
philosophical.
now it's in Michelle's blood. Like for someone that didn't have anything to do with the transport industry, and all of a sudden, like she got baptism of fire. Like
she got a truck license.
She has. She has actually. When we started Cattle and Ag, we bought a little rigid cattle truck for Michelle to drive. So then we did the Hogan's acquisition. Michelle hasn't been near a farm since. So can you please sit in there, darling, and run those businesses? That'd be great. So yeah, no, she's a goer, my wife.
Good.
So.
I like it's very philosophical. It's like the journey's the destination.
Yeah, very much so. Yep.
I say that to my wife when we're traveling and we're like stuck in a
She says,
airport or something.
Yeah.
The journey's the destination.
Yeah, and it is, and you've got to enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
Because if you're working to a goal that you think is there, what's after the goal?
Yeah. Or they move.
That's right. So what happens when you're on the way to the goal and then you go, oh shit, we can't get there?
Yeah.
You're not prepared for taking a different road or changing the direction of the business or what you need to do to get through that. So we just process, and that's been based on, like Michelle drove that into me probably a bit more than I ever did even. Like she's like, the process, let's just do it. Let's just keep running with what's in front of us and turn that next corner. Let's do what our customers need, do what our guys need, and just keep doing the job.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's
enjoy it.
Yeah. Oh, that's the age I was saying, like you find a job you love, you'll never work a day in your life.
Right.
It's very true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if you love going to work and you love what you do, it's much more pleasurable than if you didn't.
A lot easier.
Yeah. It's a big part of your life. You don't want it not to be fun.
No, that's exactly right.
So yeah.
With the models that you released with Drake, I see you brought some hats and you didn't bring us a model.
No, it's also these models have been coming for a few years. We with our guys hit 5 years, we get a Drake Bowers model for them as their 5-year anniversary gift. I've got
truck and trailer.
Yeah, just a truck normally.
Yeah.
So, but I've got 3 years, I think, worth of trucks to give out to these boys, but we've been waiting for this last truck to come out for a little while. Drake, I'm on to see him all the time, going, Sam, where's my truck? So I got guys here that are about to get to 10 years and I still haven't given them their 5-year present. So yeah, it's a good tool for us too. Same thing, like we utilise them for things like that, and customers that then they might have a charity thing on. They say, oh, can we? And we'll ring Drake and say, oh, can we have a few more trucks? So we got to get them. We got to pre-order them because most of those Bowers ones and that are sold out by pre-order.
Wow, yeah,
they're gone before they
customised.
Yeah, everyone takes them. Like they were it was in our 509 a few years back was one of the top die-cast models, German Toy Fair.
Yep.
Like yeah, all over the world. That collectibles gathering is humongous.
Yeah, what do they take them around for show? Or?
Yeah, they literally go there. Like so, Drake will enter it into the German Toy Fair as a die-cast model, and he got voted as the top die-cast model for that year.
Awesome.
Wow. Yeah, so that you literally see them everywhere.
Yeah.
And you do, like sometimes you walk into places and you'll see it and you go, oh, it's pretty cool.
That's a cool one.
Yeah, there's one of mine on the shelf over there.
It's funny, like since I've had a license, I spend a lot of time driving up and down the highway between Newey and back to Mum and Dad's house. And even at the truck show, I looked in the cabinet with the little models.
Yep.
And you just don't realise subliminally how many trucking companies' names and logos and brands you know.
Yeah.
And even I looked in the cabinet and I saw a couple of names and I'm like, I've passed that truck before on the highway.
Yeah, it's funny how and normally they're like the coloured, like our trucks, but we've got our green colour and our grey colour, and people know about our truck when they see it. So when they then see it in a different light, they go, oh, I know that. They delivered me a machine, or it kind of just it's just another something. It's another version of this new the new world, I suppose.
It is, yeah. And they all want this stuff.
They do. Like it's that collectibles thing. Like it was It was probably nearly more nerve-wracking standing up to release a collectible than it was to do this podcast. Like,
It's not that bad though, is it?
no, it's all right.
It's
No,
good.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
That's good.
When people come in and tell us that they're nervous, I kind of laugh, and then I think about how nervous we were.
first one.
When I tell people to watch the podcast, and sorry, buddy, I'm like, hey, watch any of them except like the first one.
That's
We
right.
have to get him back.
Sorry, buddy. Yeah.
Mate, it's been great. I really appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
thanks for having me. That's been good, yeah. It's good to get a little bit of insight for some people. Like, it's one of
Yeah.
those things I think a lot of people don't know.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
people want to hear that and
Yeah.
and know what's, you're moving your heaviest weights. And
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. And it's big, it's kind of, and it's cool. It is cool kind of stuff. Just like when it looks big and there's a lot more to it than just what you see when it's going down the road. So it's good to be able to give people a bit more insight.
see a bit more on Instagram, I'd say.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
We gotta pump that up a bit, get the girls onto it.
Yeah, give us a cross promo. We need to grow our audience.
That's right. We'll grow that up.
We wrap it up with 5 quick ones. We're just going to hit you with a few questions. I'm
Righto.
going to open it up with what's the most underrated bit of gear in your fleet?
Most underrated bit of gear in our fleet. It would be our ancillary equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah, most underrated bit of gear, like all of the little bits that people,
Forklifts,
and even beams and stands and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff.
stands.
Yeah, the stuff so that's probably the most underrated thing. Our team's probably, it's up there too. Like people see the gear, they underrate the team a little bit, but in saying that, our team's probably pretty good. But yeah, it's the little things that people don't see, I suppose.
Well, and a side note of that, what's your favourite truck?
My favourite truck is our T950 Legend. It's my truck.
Yep.
It'll always be my favourite truck. It's a bit of negotiation on that. My wife doesn't think it's the best truck in our fleet, but it's my favourite truck. It's the best truck I've ever driven, and so that's an easy one. So it's our little Legend 950.
How many kilometres on it?
300,000.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Baby.
It only goes to
Yeah.
work when it has to. When I go to work.
Yeah.
There's a few very special people in the company that drive it every
to
now and
drive
then.
for it?
But so it's that's easy, that one.
Yeah, nice.
Worst roadside meal.
Worst roadside meal. Have to be just your normal fast food now.
Yeah.
It's so much of it now. Like it's going into a truck stop where you used to be able to get a steak and veggies or
no veg anymore, is there?
No, or a Sunday roast where now you've got to settle for a Macca's nugget meal.
I saw some blokes, and truth be told, I had. I think it's when I was leaving here last time. I was just that keen to get home up the highway, and I'm lined up. And there's only one lady doing fuel, and there was a couple of truckers in front of me, and they were getting their roast.
Yep.
And I'm going, fuck, I've got to go. And she's there putting the peas on, and I did think to myself, it's good that you can still get that.
Yeah, that is.
It's like even Oliver's, it's pure shit.
That's
like
exactly
it is,
right.
it's pure shit.
Yeah.
And that's the healthy one.
And that's supposed to be the
So
healthy
back in the
one.
day, you
Like,
used to pick the best one to eat at.
Yeah.
Because you thought, you knew their food was like mum's cooking, like it was it was real good.
Yeah.
But now it's just like, let's try and find one that actually cooks meals.
you got the Cooler Bar Cafe. You can get a pork and gravy roll, but it's still shit.
She's been there for 14 days, that piece of
Yeah,
pork.
true.
It's been reheated a few times.
It's really cooked. Yeah.
What's your favourite watering hole in Singleton?
The Caledonian Hotel. I'm a bit of a stickler for the Cali. I've drank there for a long time.
It's easy.
Yeah, it's easy. The guys know me. I don't have to ask for a beer when I walk in. It just comes across the table.
Just appears there.
Yeah. So that'd be my favourite watering hole, mate. There's been a few beverages had there.
This is a hard one. If you weren't doing this, what would you be doing?
Well, I'd say farming now.
Yeah. Now?
Yeah. Now that I've managed to get myself into that, I'd say if I wasn't doing this farming, but I don't think I'd still not be doing it. I think that I would still have somewhere in there'd be a truck or a
truck,
loader
yeah.
or something. But so if I wasn't doing this, the farming side I do have enjoyed since we started doing that. So I think if that was that would be what I would do, because I get there's a bit of peace in that farming side of it.
Peace, but there's no money in it, is there?
No.
Everyone says that. And I sit back here all the time and say, I know nothing about ag, and I'm glad I don't. Because
Steak's still dear, but
Yeah, that's right. breeding cattle and making hay. It seems like a great idea. So no, but it's good fun. So I enjoy that. So that'll be what I'll be doing.
Last one, we ask everyone, if you could give your 18-year-old self any advice, what would it be?
Don't worry too much about what people say. Don't take that on board and try and change who you are or be different to what they say you should be, or just be yourself and don't listen to that noise. Just do that, and I think that'd be the best bit of advice I'd give myself, because growing up in the industry and being known and things like that. Like when you were growing up, you had this way where you thought, oh, geez, do I try not to be how I was? Or that'd be the big thing. Don't listen to what people say and just be yourself.
Be yourself.
The whole way through it. And if my wife was to asking that question, she'd be saying, tell the 18-year-old Daniel to let me buy more property earlier in our career. That'd be probably a great idea. But that one, just don't listen to the noise. Yeah. Listen, be yourself and don't listen to what people have got to say or don't try and change yourself for it.
Don't change yourself. Yeah.
Do what you got to do.
Good one.
Love it, mate.
Awesome.
Cheers.
Thanks for coming in.
No, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Hope now we get to come out here and see whether you guys can make it home for the
Yeah,
race.
we'll see. We need a boat to get home.
Thanks a lot.
Cool. Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Appreciate it.